All right, here we go with the second episode of PFL Dynasty Diaries. Now, I am the narrator in this story. My team happens to be Michigan, so I'm also a character in the story of this diary. So you're going to see me quite a bit. I'm going to be talking about, it's not just about me, it's about all 32 users in this league. But, this week it's going to be about me. I'm just going to give a little bit of history about my team. I'll probably do this for several teams, at least the top users that have been around a while that I'm pretty sure will stick around. Probably won't focus on new people because the newer people are the ones that come and go. Our core is the ones who have been here and I expect to stick around. So I'll focus more on those users. So to get into this week, I'm going to give the history about my team. I'm going to put this up here on the screen. Now, as you can see right here, okay, so obviously I took over in 2024, and we were a contender for the national championship my first year. During the regular season, I lost one game, then I lost the the conference championship. And so that gave me two losses and then still made it to the playoffs. And I lost to Georgia. If you watch the first episode, which I'll put a link up at the end, Georgia won that national championship. And obviously Georgia was a tough winner, a tough user. And it was a very tough game. I mean, the game, I was actually up 14 with 3 minutes left in the game and lost in regulation. So that kind of lets you know how it goes. I went in, thought I had it locked up, and, it just fell apart the last couple minutes of that game. And, in the second season, it's kind of the same, but I didn't have as good of a season as you can see right here, but played Georgia again. He beat me again. He didn't win the national championship that year. He lost to North Carolina. And then last season was just embarrassing. Going from a national contender to 6-6 in the regular season, winning the bowl game, that was embarrassing, like for real. Like, I talked mad trash during the season, and to have it go that way was just sad. So this year, we're stepping it up. We're going to make up for it. This year, we're going to be back in the national hunt for sure. And you guys are going to see it unfold live. So tune in for that. I'm just going to show some key offensive players on this year's team really quick. James Loftus, I got him in my first draft class. Now, in terms of draft class, I was number one season 1. In season 2, he came out of that first draft class, and as you can see, he's a 5-star. He started as a freshman, and you can see right here on his stats that his freshman year was okay. 3,700 yards. He actually broke the school record in passing yards and touchdowns as a freshman, which is pretty good because Alex Orgia had his the first season of the league, and Alex Orgia had broke those two records when I had him. I threw way too many interceptions, and I think that was it was really a couple games when I just played horrific games that added those up pretty fast. You can see his second season, 5,100 yards. I mean, he led in passer rating by a lot. He led in passing yards by a lot, passing touchdowns by a lot. Had the most touchdowns, the highest completion percentage by a lot. I think the next closest person had like 71%. So, I mean, he was just dominating in everything. And last season, I went 7-6. So, obviously my defense was bad. And actually, that's kind of a product of what was going on. It was like I threw a lot more. Like the first season, when I had the original Michigan team now I had the cover guy, Donovan Edwards, and he led the nation in rushing that year. So I went from season 1 leading the nation in rushing to season 3 leading in passing, which means, I guess it's good. It means I can run or pass, but we did a lot better when we were running a lot because, we were winning. Like last season we were down a lot, so I had to throw, and, and you see the interceptions and down his sophomore year from his freshman year. And we threw a lot more touchdowns. In a lot of those interceptions, the second year I was, overall making better reads. But like when you're down, a lot of late game stuff, you're just throwing stuff up because you need to make something happen. You throw things you normally wouldn't. So that had a lot to do with it. But, the bottom line is, we just had a very disappointing year last year. So, there's that. So getting into who he was throwing to. Now, this guy, he's a freshman right now. And him being a freshman, he came in with some very good abilities to take off. He has 99 speed, 99 acceleration. Now, I want to point out I have South Carolina in another dynasty who has Nick Harbor. If you know, he's 6'5", 99 speed, 99 acceleration, which is very funny because this guy is a smaller version of him. He's just not 6'5", but it's just ridiculous, like throwing to him. And it's not all streaks. I hit him on everything. He gets the jet passes. He gets post, corners, bubble screens. And yes, he does catch streaks. And his jumping ability is crazy. And I mentioned Nick Harbor being 6'5". He makes this guy, Bernstein, makes crazy plays. Like he'll jump over people to make catches, which is weird because I have other receivers who are taller than him on my team right now who don't make those kind of plays. So I don't know what it is. I mean, he has elite depth trait, which is great for developing him. He was a 79 last year. He's only up to 84 this year. So, I thought he was going to go up higher than that being an elite dev trait. And I do know elite only affects your regular season progress, not the off-season progress. But he only went up 5 points, which I was kind of surprised about. I just expected more because I've seen more in other players on other teams, and I've seen more just in general. I think even on my team, I had a few people who hit that, and they didn't have the elite dev trait. I'm talking going from the beginning of one season to the beginning of the next season, including off-season training and whatnot. So, but overall, he's playing above that 84 rating, so I'm all for it. I'm glad he's playing on our team. Although you can see this year he's not doing very well, but this you're gonna see, and this is through 2 games, and you're gonna see partially why. I mean, he's gonna get much better as the season goes on. But the first game, I just didn't throw a lot. I literally attempted 10 total passes. It was just sloppy, and I don't know if it had to do with the weather. I haven't played in that severe weather, and I mean it's severe. It was just raining. It wasn't snow on the ground. I hadn't played in the snow yet either, which is kind of strange, especially being in Michigan in an outdoor stadium. So it's kind of strange, but I just haven't played in the rain, especially how it was. But it affected both of our passing. Our passing game was very sloppy, and it was just really, really bad. So he literally caught one pass the first game for negative yards, one pass for negative 4 yards. And then the second game, he got one pass for 75. You see his long is 75 and he has 71 total. So, but that's going to go up. I promise you. He's going to, have a good season. Last season, he won the Heisman. He won Offensive Player of the Year and Best Receiver as a true freshman. And I know I can do it again this year. I'm not saying he's going to put up those kind of numbers. Those numbers were more indicative of a poor season of me having to throw the ball a lot more than I'm used to. Normally, if I'm up by a lot, I will run the ball. I didn't have that a lot this season. That's also why the first season, Donovan Edwards led the nation in rushing because I was winning a lot. So I was just pounding the rock, and I can run pretty good. So, it was more indicative of how our season went, and it's actually a bad thing I had to throw that much. So, this year he's going to put up good numbers. It just won't be like last season. And I do want to say this guy won us this game that you're going to see. I'm going to put up some highlights of the game, and you're going to see that it was him that won the game. I kept the ball on the ground, and he did what he had to do, got the job done, and we pulled it out. So far this year we're 2-0. I'm only going to show the first game this week, and then the next video you're going to see the second game. But starting off 2-0, we're off to a good start, and we're going to be a contender for the national championship, and we're definitely going to make the playoffs this year. So with that being said, let's get into the highlights of week 1. So we start off pretty simple, just running the ball, just trying to get a feel. I knew this is literally the first game of the season, so I'm just testing out my run game, trying to see what's up with it. And, we're just punching them in the mouth. And if we can play like this all season, we're going to be doing great. And you see those were the first 2 plays of the game. And, we got over 20 yards already on the ground. So this is a little later in the drive. I just skipped ahead a couple plays. And it's 3rd and 1. So I'm like, okay, let me hit him with play action. I've been running all day. Let's just hit him with this. Now, I'm going to say this. I run this play a lot. You see how he's wide open just like I expected. And that throw was kind of indicative. And this play right here is the next play, 4th and 1. I'm like, okay, let me just go and get this. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I just saw the setup, I was like, okay, now my dude is 99 speed, 99 excel with platinum takeoff. And yes, we are playing on Heisman, and he just blew by him, which is why I like that receiver. But that was kind of crazy. But you see the bad throw, two bad throws in a row. And like I said, he had troubles throwing the ball too. Kind of similar, where you get people wide open and miss like that. So I was kind of blaming it on the weather, since both of our QBs were having that same issue, and my quarterback doesn't have that issue normally. But see, we get the sack right there, and got the fumble, and at this point it's still 0-0, but the game got kind of out of hand real fast. It's early in the second quarter, and I believe this was the next play. And I was just running this. This was just a simple. I want to say I completed 5 passes on the game, and this was one of them. So, and I don't know what that spin move was. That was horrible, but we still got in. I do want to say our overall was a lot higher than his. The user is actually not that bad. It's just my overall is just much higher. My next game, you'll see, it was much tougher. I was playing Georgia, who actually had a higher overall than I did. So we'll check that out. Now, this is my running back right here. This is just a crazy play right here. Boom, get out my way. Get off me, get off me. Bam, let's go. So I want to see a lot of that this year. We get a lot of that this year. We're going to have a heck of a year. So I love that right there. And then, like I said, this is still the second quarter. And it just gets much worse. Like I said, it was 0-0 at the end of the first, thinking it was going to be one of those defensive games. And now, all of a sudden, real fast, this is where we are. And then this happens to him. I know right now he's feeling sick right now, because this is right after that, the big run. Then he gives that gives that up. So a few minutes ago, it was 0-0. Now it's 21-0 in a real short period of time. And second quarter woes are not ending for him, because I'm pretty sure this is like just a couple plays later, next possession, this happens. So I do want to point out, I'm not the type of person to run up a score on somebody, so I kind of laid off the gas the rest of the game. And as I mentioned earlier, I only threw 10 passes the whole game. I was only 5 for 10, and that's that's another reason why. It's also why I mentioned how I threw so much last year, because I wasn't winning. But as you look right here, I spied my D-line just so he can have time to throw, because my D-line was tearing his offensive line up. Now, I didn't want that to happen. I was just trying to let him move the ball a little bit, and he just mossed my corner right there. So, and he got the big play. So. But overall, this game was offensively sloppy. My running back had a great game, but the stats, the passing game was not good. And keep in mind, my quarterback last year threw for 5,100 yards, over 50 touchdowns, completed 75% of his passes for the season. And again, we're playing on Heisman. I'm playing all users, so it's not like I got cupcake games. I play in a tough conference, so it's not like I had any let up. There were a couple games like this one, because, like I said, this is overall. I'm not, trying to down the user at all, but I think my team is like a 92 overall, and his team was like low 80s. I don't know the exact number, but that had a lot to do with the outcome of this game right here. But my point is that these are the same players that I played with last year that are a year, in terms of. My quarterback's now a junior and not a sophomore anymore. And my receiver, who was a freshman last year, who put up over 2,100 yards and had 28 touchdowns, which, like I said, won basically all the receiver awards and the Heisman, with shattering records. And, he put up a game like this. So this is not normal. And again, I don't think we're going to have the passing season we did last year, but we're going to get more wins, and we're going to run the ball much better, because we're going to be having leads and not have to throw the ball all game. So just wanted to throw all of that out there. And this is week 0. If people who know, there is a week 0 in college football, they call it. It's usually only a handful of games, and I happen to have one of those games this week. And next week, you're going to see me play Georgia. That was a much tougher game. Like I said, he had a higher overall. He's a very good user. He actually has a national championship in this league in season 1, and it's not like he's gotten any worse since then. And his team, I believe, has a better overall. So, and me and him have had 2 very tough battles that both of those I think I should have won. Frankly, this game, even though I won it, as you're going to see, I know I'm speaking on the game I'm not even showing yet, But I don't think I should have won that game because it was another sloppy game, but I ended up winning a very tough game with him. But you'll see it next episode. Tune in. And now you get to see the final segment of the week is the freshman phenom, Tobias Crummy. He had a great first game, and, I got to say, he's probably going to be a problem for Missouri opponents for seasons to come. He is a route running receiver with 97 speed and great acceleration. I mean, what more can you ask for? He can get free and has the speed to break free, get big plays once he gets the ball in his hands. I'm sure the user, whose name is Incarnate One, will love to have him on his team. So anyway, on that note, hope you enjoyed the second episode of PFL Dynasty Diaries. This week, you watched my game against North Carolina State and witnessed the debut of our first freshman phenom, Tobias Crummy, who's sure to be a force for Missouri's opponents for a long time. You also got a glimpse into my team's history in the league so far. Be sure to come back for the next episode, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates.